Hello, Pop Girlies.
Hello.
Hey, Pop Girlies Nation.
We're back again.
And it's time for the double feature.
Double
Science fiction double
feature.
feature.
We are looking at the divine, looking at the sexual, looking at the end all be all.
Eusexuals.
No, that was a few weeks ago. Was that
Right.
last week? No, last week was Super 8.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so 2 weeks ago was Eusexua.
Experience
So
the super ache and then go back and find yourself in a state of eusexia
We're
and
not
then come
even
back.
doing we're not even doing the Super 8 episode and Maria's still disrespecting.
What?
she disrespected. She
I
just
literally just told every person on the planet to go and listen to it.
Thought you were about to say do the Super 8, but actually go do the Eusexual.
No, 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 no,
so
no,
you
no.
made up a situation in your head and then
I got I'm gaslighting Maria.
You're letting
got
the
mad
inner
at
saboteur
Maria.
loose. You are letting your inner saboteur loose and you need to let her back in.
No, I'm gonna keep my saboteur out for mayhem.
Right. Okay.
Well,
Mother
we're praying
Mayhem.
tonight, so there's gonna be no mayhem involved. We are en masse, and we are hymning it up.
This
Okay,
is
we're
holy.
we're here to discuss the hymnals.
This is holy, not to be confused with unholy.
No,
Mommy don't know that da,
which
da, da.
at the celebration tour, she played that during Like a Prayer. She played like an interlude of that during the Like a Prayer performance.
Girl, aged like milk.
It's so
Why
embarrassing. I'm
couldn't
like,
she? I kind of like that song.
Oh,
oh,
Oh, wait, do y'all both not like it?
no.
I don't.
Or well, I
I
know
don't
Levi
live.
doesn't
I don't
because of one
understand
artist.
the plot of it, to be honest with you.
I don't either. Is it body shop like an auto shop?
I've always thought it was like a cheating mechanic.
Yeah, that's
Right.
what I thought it was too.
But then Kim
But
Petras' verse makes no sense then.
and I feel like if it's like very specifically like a body shop, then like the music video should have been giving like they're at the body shop.
Aren't they
Yeah,
at the aren't they at the body shop in the music video before it goes to the theater?
are
Have
they?
you just not
Um,
watched the music video?
that'd be news to me. Maybe I need to go do some more on the ground journalism and figure it out.
On the ground journalism, girl, just watch it.
That's what I'm saying. I need to go watch
Oh,
it.
okay, okay.
Just like the lyrics though, like I just am not getting the story.
Yeah.
I get it.
I'm not getting the story. Like, and I just don't understand what Kim Petras is doing in this song, which I'm never really understand what she's
Right,
doing
right.
in the music
Right.
industry. But
Right.
the give me Fendi, my Balenciaga dad. Like, what does that have to do with
Oh,
anything?
that makes no sense. Oh my
Like,
gosh.
he's a mechanic. He's not going to be able to give you Balenciaga, girl. It's
A
just,
mess.
why are we talking about Prada? What does Rihanna got to do with anything? I don't understand it. So
Right.
that's
Okay.
that's my opinion on that.
That's fair.
And this is when Drew tells us that that's his track of the week.
No, it's not.
Well, before we get into hot tracks, Maria, would you like to let the Pop Girly Nation members know some news, national news?
Yes. So, Pop Girlies Nation, I have piping hot tea. And if you're listening to the podcast right now, and if you have been listening to the podcast in the past, you've probably been listening to us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And I'm here to announce that Pop Girlies is now on YouTube. So now you can listen to our audio recordings on YouTube and you can go to our channel, like, subscribe, leave comments,
Share
and
ho.
share and all that good stuff. You don't get it, Levi. You don't
It's
What
get
was
movie
it.
that?
bitches.
Oh,
That's what they say.
That's what they say when they're doing all their plugs. So they say share because then they pretend to be share. So
oh, okay.
yeah. But
Yeah.
so yeah, so go to YouTube and do all of that fun stuff and just be sure to subscribe and keep up with us. And in the meantime, follow us on Instagram at Pop Girlies Pod. That is the premier place for our community. So go there and enjoy.
Well, while you're at it, you can leave us a review on Spotify and Apple
Yes, leave
Music.
us
Only five
reviews.
stars though,
Yeah,
please.
if it's not going to be 5 stars, we don't want to hear it.
We're
Sorry.
not here for constructive criticism. We
No,
just want all the positive things.
And we
no,
do know who gives 1-star reviews, then we'll block. So
Yeah.
we do. We can see. Oh, so none of y'all better be snakes then, is what I'm about to hear.
If at this point, if you're listening and you have constructive feedback, probably just text one of us individually because you probably have our numbers.
yeah, you probably do. Or at least DM. I
Or you're the
Yeah.
mean,
baddie in Europe who listens.
Yeah.
Did you guys see that we made it to Brazil? What episode was it,
yes,
Yes.
Eusexua?
Yes. So now we're
If
gonna
you
get
make it in
the
Brazil, you can make it anywhere.
yes.
anywhere.
And
The
yeah, now we're getting
Brazilians,
Well,
they
the
you
just
know
do it
the Katy
different.
cats are most present in Brazil.
real.
Well, there you go. The best
Yeah.
people are.
Pop Girlies updates Brazil.
Yeah, when?
Yeah. Someone
When?
make the updates account for Pop Girlies.
And
Yeah. Be ahead of your time.
Yes. Oh
okay,
my gosh.
so now that that's out of the way, let's get into Hot Track Land. Who's going to be the first mayor of Hot Track Land? I think it should be Drew.
Me, okay. I was having a little bit of a hard time because I've really only been listening to the album that we're covering today. Um, but I was in New York this last weekend and I had a really good time. And I wanted to just highlight one of the songs that I saw. So yesterday I saw the revival of Romeo and Juliet, and Jack Antonoff King wrote the music for it. And there's a song that Rachel Zegler sings called Man of the House that I thought was really awesome. So I'm gonna highlight that as my hot track because I feel like I never do enough musical theater stuff. So there you go. Man of the
Hey.
House. It was a great show. I mean, it closes on Sunday, so like I can't like recommend to go, but like if you're in New York Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, you should go.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Love.
Yeah.
Maria, go.
Okay. Well, very similarly to Drew, I was in New just kidding. I was not in New York. I have been just listening to so much Madonna, so obviously can't have Madonna as my hot track, so I've been needing to, just explore. Well, I mean, I just
Why
don't.
can't you have her as your hot track?
Well,
Because
I
we're
thought
doing
that
a
was a,
Madonna album. Is that a rule?
yeah, that's a rule we
No,
have.
you've done it, but Levi has done it before.
Really?
I
On the
think.
same on the same episode. No, I haven't.
I thought that was a
I
rule.
thought you had
What? Well,
for like
where's the
Taylor or something.
evidence?
Like I thought you did like one for Taylor or something. I don't know. I could be wrong.
No,
No,
the
I know exactly. I know what you did. It was for the 143 episode. You did Never Really Over as your hot track.
That's right.
Oh, I guess I did.
But like,
Sorry.
I'm not like I don't think that that's a bad thing.
I think that was a rule that we maybe said once and then never enforced again until Maria right now.
Oh, I didn't know it was a rule. I've been like consistently picking hot tracks knowing that it wasn't a rule.
Oh, well, let's put a pin in that. We can decide on the rules later. But I did already set my hot track, so I'll just keep it. But my that was just like my prelude was just saying that I've just been listening
Okay.
to so much Madonna. So I've been, like finding the pockets where I've been listening to other things. And other than Madonna, it's really just been a lot of Gaga because of Abracadabra and my paw being up and all of that great
How
stuff.
high is your
But
paw up?
it's all the way up.
Your paw is like tip of CN Tower.
Tip of what
Yes.
tower?
See, that's that huge tower in Toronto.
Oh, I've never
C
been.
CN.
Is that the one that
Yeah.
Drake sat on?
Yeah.
I just
Yeah,
left
I
out a
bet.
word. Well, no,
Dr. Dre.
in the album cover for Views, he's sitting on
Yeah,
that
Oh
he
yeah,
sits on
tower.
it.
that's the
Yeah.
yeah, that's the album cover reviews. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So for music though, other than Gaga, what I've been also kind of listening to is I take dance, like I think I've mentioned that before, and for my dance class that I take over the weekends, we'll do like 2 weeks of like one diva only, and then it'll go like every 2 weeks it's someone different. So for the last 2 weeks, we've been doing all Christina Aguilera. And for one of our Across the Floor songs, we did a combination to Let There Be Love by
I love
Christina.
let there be love.
So that is my hot track because that song is just incredible and it's up there with Your Body of like two of the loudest songs that have ever been recorded.
Wait, Maria, do you know that I am like the world's biggest Lotus stan? I think I'm the only person who streamed
Yeah,
that album in all
Yes.
of
noted.
2024. I love
Yes.
Lotus.
I know. I know.
I
I
was
was
so
so
sad.
present when,
Your
yeah.
Body is really like, I genuinely think one of the great pop songs, and nobody ever talks about Your Body enough for me.
It's so good. I was so present when that single dropped. Like I listened to it all the
That's
time.
also, I think, one of the best music videos of the last 15 years. The music video is excellent.
Oh, I've never seen it.
Oh, do
Whoa.
yourself a favor. Do it.
Yeah.
That is, whoa, that's a big statement, Levi.
What I just have
Well,
to say, once Levi and I get our hands into your dance class, it's over.
yeah, we have to find a way to be allowed into the femme class. I can wear my
It's,
Ariel
yeah.
wig.
Yeah. Or
Oh
your
my
Bella
gosh.
Baxter wig.
Yeah, either or.
All of it. Please.
Both.
All is
I
both.
honestly think we'd be allowed.
Well, I don't know. I don't want to make waves.
Yeah, true.
They're not ready for you yet.
I don't want to
No, they're
invade
not.
your space.
Well, everyone's welcome to Jazz Femme. So, okay, Levi, what's your hot track?
Um, I mean, I echo what everyone's been saying. I have been listening to the Queen Honey because getting ready for the double feature, getting in the thick of it. But also I've been also in a really big Lord mood, and I know I mentioned that last week, and I didn't go with Lord then, so I'm gonna go with Lord now. Really could have been so many songs because I've been like, and it's been chronological. I started in a pure heroine mood, and then I moved to melodrama, but like maybe like 2 days ago, I got into my solar power mood right now. And Drew and I are noted solar power warriors. If you didn't get it, I'm sorry, you just didn't understand. And I know one of our most loyal listener, Alex Awishi, is a solar power denier. Uh,
He's a denier.
yeah, and he's just not blinking 3 times. I don't know what to say. It's just it's something you got to go get stoned at the nail salon, Alex Awishi, and figure
Yeah.
your life out
I was
because
just gonna say he's
Also,
sober at the nail salon.
he's sober.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's just like, I love it. So, the song that I'm picking for my hot track is from Solar Power, and it is one of my favorites. And it's called Secrets from a Girl Who's Seen It All. And
I know
I
that
think,
song.
oh my God, well, it's incredible. And I think that that song is the epitome of the meme, Girl Who's Going to Be Okay. Like,
Yeah.
that's how I feel every time I listen to it. I was walking today and the sun was shining, and I was listening to it, and I literally just had this moment. I was like, I'm going to be okay. It was so special. And I think it has some of the most beautiful lyrics about growing up. I mean, I think Lorde is like kind of the poet laureate of aging and growing up
Yeah.
for people our age. She's able to
Yeah.
capture what it feels like to get older in such an incredible. I mean, she did it from her first album with Ribs, and she's able to do it repeatedly. And I think that Secrets from a Girl is such like a beautiful way to. It's like almost the first time she's written about it positively, which is really lovely. And I just think it's a very kind song, and it's really beautiful. So that's my hot
Welcome
track.
to sadness.
Welcome to sadness.
Also, when I was flying to New York on Friday, Levi was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm listening to Solar Power. Like, let's listen to it." I listened to it, and then immediately when I started, the Wi-Fi on my plane went out. So we were like, I texted so many thoughts, and then they all just sent
It was
when I
funny. They all
landed.
sent at one time, like an
Yeah.
hour
Yeah,
later.
Drew live texted the entire album and then every single text sent at once.
And you said welcome to sadness, and I thought about it
I
every day
did.
since you said that.
So good.
Yeah, no, solar power is incredible.
Oh, it's
But
so good.
okay, I think we're about to get into the double feature.
Oh my gosh.
So we
Levi's
are
about to
going.
give a dissertation.
I am. I am. Is this one is only 5 pages. So
Oh, wow.
Thinking caps on, pen and
yeah.
paper, get it out. Everyone
Well,
take notes.
I'm so excited because I think we mentioned this last week, but this is the oldest album that we've done so far.
Yeah.
We're going. back to the late 80s. So let's get in the time machine, the Pop Girlies time machine. And yeah, I'm so excited to be talking about this album. A super important record. I'll get into it. And before I start, when I make my notes, I like normally kind of like block them into sections of like background and like recording process, reception. Well, to keep in theme, I have made all my section titles religious words. So I'm going to say them just to make sure that we are keeping the Catholic holy theme going on. So let's start with the Genesis. Her third studio album, True Blue, was released in 1986, and it was the album that cemented her as a global pop sensation. All five of those singles had peaked in the top five of the Billboard Hot 100, with three of them reaching the number one spot. The album, which went on to sell 25 million copies, was the best-selling album of 1986. And this record is the one that is seen as like cementing her as the biggest female artist of the 1980s, really rivaled only by Michael Jackson and Prince, and just as a pop icon in the general sense. But we also kind of have to take a detour now into where she's not as successful, which is her acting. In 1987, she starred in the film Who's That Girl, which was a commercial and critical failure. In 1988, she made her Broadway debut in David Mamet's Speed the Plow. And the production was a commercial success, largely because Madonna was in it. But her performance received mixed reviews. So there's just no real success happening in the acting department. Also, in 1988, she turned 30, which is the age her mother was when she died. And this caused a lot of reflection, not just on her mother's death, but on her upbringing, her relationship to her family, and her Catholic faith. Around this time, her marriage to then husband Sean Penn was falling apart. She filed an assault report against Penn during the New Year's weekend of like 1988 going into 1989. And she filed for divorce on January 5th, 1989, and asked that no charges be filed. So she sought also to move in a more somber, sophisticated, and just generally spiritual direction with her music. She wanted to move away from the real glossy, poppy production of her earlier works and push herself artistically in a way that she had never had before. So these are the events, the feelings, the reflections that lay the groundwork for what would become like a prayer. So now let's get into the creation story. Her primary collaborator was Patrick Leonard. This is a big collaborator for her. He's like probably the most consistent collaborator throughout her career. And they had first worked together on True Blue, writing and producing five songs, including Live to Tell and La Isla Bonita, two of the biggest hits. Madonna said this of their chemistry, quote, "We have a very good working relationship because we both come from the Midwest and we both worked our butts off to get where we are. But, he's the one who studied music. He knows how to read music, how to write music. I don't know any of that. I'm completely instinctual and he's completely intellectual. So it's a really good combination." They worked on 8 songs together for this album and they finished 6 of them in 2 weeks. She works very, very fast. And this album came together very, very quickly. The title track was the first song that she recorded and wrote for the record. And I think that's very interesting. It's kind of, I mean, title track's obviously the track that sums up the album. And this literally laid the groundwork, the foundation for the album. So she said this of its creation. "I don't know where it came from. It just came out of my head. Pat had the chord changes for the verse and the chorus. We hadn't written the bridge yet. I really wanted to do something really gospel oriented and a cappella with virtually no instrumentation, just my voice and an organ. So we started fooling around with the song and we take away all the instrumentation so that my voice was naked. Then we came up with the bridge together and we had the idea to have a choir." She also collaborated on this album with one of the only artists who could be considered a peer of hers at this time, Prince. The song Love Song is a collaboration between the two of them, and it had a very unusual creation process. And so Madonna said this about how the song was created, quote, "No, he didn't give me a track. We sat down and just started fooling around. We had a lot of fun. What happened is that he played the drums and I played the synthesizer and we came up with the original melody line. I just off the top of my head started singing lyrics into the microphone. And then he overdubbed some guitar stuff and made a loop of it and sent it to me. And then I just started adding sections to it and singing parts to it. And then I sent it back to him and he'd sing a part to it and add another instrument and send it back to me. It was like the sentence that turned into a paragraph that turned into a little mini series. So it was great. It was a completely different way to work. And because of our schedules and everything, and he was in Minnesota and he likes to work there, and I like to work here. So we kind of sent it back and forth. He's great. He's a real interesting, unique talent. Also, Prince plays uncredited guitar on Like a Prayer, Keep It Together, and Act of Contrition. And on Act of Contrition, something I'd like to point out is that in order to keep with the religious theme, the credit for Act of Contrition, there's no writer or producer credited. It's just said produced by the powers that be, which I think is very, very interesting.
Yeah.
So now let's go into the actual album itself, Scripture. Thematically, the album is the most personal Madonna had ever been before. It's kind of crazy to listen to True Blue and then go into Like a Prayer. I love True Blue. It's such a fun pop album, but just the complete evolution in terms of thematic content is pretty remarkable. So in prior works, she said that she'd written songs with commercial success in mind, and she said that she was writing from only certain sides of herself and writing what she knew could be consumed by the masses. And with Like a Prayer, she isn't doing that. It's just the full Madonna, brutal honesty, nothing to hide behind, just her. One of the biggest through lines of the record is, of course, religion. So, this is obviously the central focus of the title track and much of the imagery of the album, but it is weaved throughout the rest of the record. I mean, Act of Contrition. Act of Contrition is a prayer said in the Catholic Church, and, it's whispered over this like insane guitar, which actually is like a prayer backwards. So that it's the product it's like backwards played through a loop, and so that's why it kind of like sounds similar, which I think is really cool. Um, but yeah, the religion is present throughout the entire album, and although she does not consider herself a practicing Catholic, her Catholic upbringing deeply affected her sense of identity. I love this quote that she has about Catholicism. It goes, because in Catholicism, you are a born sinner and you are a sinner all your life. No matter how you try to get away from it, the sin is within you all the time. It was this fear that haunted me. It taunted and pained me every moment. My music was probably the only distraction I had. Her family is another major touch point on the record. So, Promise to Try is written to the 5-year-old Madonna reeling from the aftermath of her mother's death. Oh Father reflects on her troubled relationship not only with her father, but with all male authority figures in her life, including God. Keep It Together is about the complicated feelings she has regarding home and family life. And although not directly about her childhood, the song Dear Jessie is a lullaby written to Patrick Leonard's young daughter named Jessie. It is immediately followed by Oh Father, and it represents a kind of childhood innocence that Madonna was not afforded when she was young. So you get this, really beautiful, lovely, magical fairy tale land of Dear Jessie, and then the strings kind of decay into the very grim, somber strings of Oh Father. The song Till Death Do Us Part is a reflection on the dissolution of her marriage to Sean Penn and the domestic violence that she experienced and suffered. It captures the cyclical nature of abusive relationships. There's this like pattern that she talks about throughout the song, and there's this feeling of being on edge because there are these bright synthy choruses that are very melodic, and then these like darker spoken word verses, and just that juxtaposition is really interesting. The subject of the song Spanish Eyes has been a topic of debate by fans and critics for decades. So, Patrick Leonard always thought that it was about gang violence. Some people have interpreted it about sending a loved one off to war. And I would say the theory that's maybe the most popular now, and it's definitely the one that I think, that it was inspired by the AIDS crisis and all the people in her life that were suffering and dying. Now, sharing the gospel, releasing the album. The album marked another reinvention for her public image. So she deviated from her signature blonde and dyed her hair dark brown. This was the first time she'd ever had brown hair, which was a big deal. She looks so Italian with this like it's crazy with the thick
Yeah.
it's insane how Italian she looks. It's the Fergie be Italian.
Well,
You guys know what
isn't
that is?
her? Oh, no.
Oh, it's from the musical 9. Have you never seen Fergie sing Be Italian?
No.
Well, maybe do some education.
Oh, yeah. Well, Madonna's like a naturally a brunette, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
I
not
think this
super.
is very natural, like close to what she looks like naturally.
Got it, got it.
So, yeah, this was the first time that she was brunette. Her hair was very dark brown and like her natural curls. And the album cover was the first to not show her face. So, this was kind of the visual representation of her more spiritual, more mature image. The original pressings of the album were scented with patchouli oil, and according to a Warner's Brother spokesperson, quote, Madonna wanted to create a flavor of the 1960s in the church. She wanted to create a sensual feeling you could hear and smell. So that oil is supposed to kind of take people to like a place of, in the church, in Catholic Church, there's all these oils and holy oils, and there's this, you smell incense, and so it's just like this sensory experience that she's giving people, which I think is really cool. And additionally, the album included a fact sheet about HIV and AIDS and safe sex practices. The fact sheet notes that, quote, AIDS is an equal opportunity disease and that there is no conclusive data as to how AIDS got started. She also states that, quote, people with AIDS, regardless of their sexual orientation, deserve compassion and support, not violence and bigotry, end quote. And that was the first time a mainstream artist had said anything about AIDS or included anything about AIDS in a product or in a thing that they were selling. So it's a big deal to talk about something that was so controversial and really horrific, obviously, but something that, was met with a lot of horrific bigotry and pushback. Uh, Going off into another direction, the lead single, title track Like a Prayer, was released on March 3rd, 1989. The album quickly followed and was released on March 21st, 1989, which is like crazy. I mean, nowadays you would never have that close of a from lead single to album release. There are a total of 11 songs. Five additional singles were released after Like a Prayer. So we have Express Yourself, Cherish, Oh Father, Dear Jesse, which was just in Europe, and Keep It Together. Four of those were top 10 singles on the Billboard Hot 100. So Like a Prayer reached number one, Express Yourself and Cherish peaked at number two, and Keep It Together peaked at number eight. The album peaked at number one in almost every single country that it charted, including the United States, and today it has sold 15 million copies worldwide. So, huge hit. Okay, to now go into one of the biggest stories about this album, we can't not talk about the music video for Like a Prayer. And so let's talk about the section that I've dubbed Crucifixion. So in January 1989, while the music video for Like a Prayer was still being filmed before the song's official release, Pepsi had announced that they had signed a $15 million deal with Madonna to feature her and the song in a Pepsi commercial. So this was going to be the first time that people, the general public, would hear a snippet of Madonna's new single, a very awaited, anticipated thing. And this was the first time that an artist had ever launched a song through a commercial. So the original commercial premiered during the Grammys in February 1989, and it was aired again a week later during an episode of The Cosby Show, which was at the time one of the most popular TV shows on television. Pepsi estimated that around 250 million people worldwide saw the commercial. So in this commercial, it's kind of like, it, not to get into it's not really important what it's about. Just it presents her in a very innocent, um, PG friendly light. Let's just say that. And the day after the commercial's debut, the music video was aired for the first time on MTV. Directed by Mary Lambert, the music video ended up becoming the biggest controversy of her career up to that point. The video follows Madonna witnessing a young white woman assaulted and murdered by a group of white men. A black man also sees the crime and runs to intervene. The murderers escape just as the police arrive, and the man is arrested. She flees to a Catholic church for safety. In the church, there is a statue of a saint who is played by the same actor as the man who got arrested. She begins to pray in front of the statue, and the statue starts to cry. The statue comes to life and kisses her forehead before leaving the church. She picks up a knife that was dropped and cuts herself, making the sign of stigmata on her hands. And so, for those of you who don't know, stigmata is a term in the Catholic Church for bodily wounds that correspond to the location of Jesus's crucifixion wounds. So, since these were on her hand, they correspond to where the nails were in his hand, nailing him to the cross. Interspersed throughout the video are scenes of Madonna dancing in front of burning crosses, sensual scenes between her and the saint that suggest a sexual relationship, and scenes of her dancing with the choir in the church. The video ends with her going to the police station and revealing the arrested man's innocence. So, just from, even if you haven't seen the video, which I highly recommend you go see, it's like one of the most important documents of like pop culture and pop music. Even if you haven't seen it though, as I'm sure you can tell, there's a lot happening here. Kind of like almost every single kind of provocative imagery is used, and there is very loaded commentary on religion and race and sex. It kind of like ticks every box that people could get mad about, and like every kind of person. And as you can imagine, especially in, 1989, the music video generated immediate controversy. The Vatican condemned the video. The Pope condemned Madonna. Not her first condemnation, but well, it was her first. It wouldn't be her last. That's what I'm saying. I think this was the first time they condemned her, but they would condemn her again in the Blonde Ambition tour. Pop, Pop Joan, Pope John Paul II, God, encouraged Catholics to boycott her. Christian groups worldwide protested the video. TV stations refused to air the video, except for MTV. They aired it in heavy rotation. And people started boycotting Pepsi products because Pepsi was associated with Madonna. They had this huge, gigantic deal. And so they had a huge decrease in sales. And eager to get out of the bad publicity and to distance themselves from her and this video and all the controversy, Pepsi immediately terminated the contract, stopped airing the commercial, but let Madonna keep the $5 million because they wanted so badly to be rid of her. And she kind of handled this whole thing fine. She basically just said, art's supposed to be controversial, art's supposed to be provocative. And she didn't really apologize for anything, which, she kind of never does. There's a song she has, Unapologetic Bitch, and that's kind of what she is. Um, so that I just you have to when you're talking about this album, you have to talk about that. That's one of the big stories of this record. And so now let's go into how it was received. Communion. Upon the album's release, it garnered critical acclaim. This was the first time an album of hers had garnered widespread acclaim through critics. Critics praised her growth as an artist, the album's introspection, and the songwriting. Billboard called it, quote, less accessible than her previous efforts, but ultimately her most satisfying, lyrically and musically. Rolling Stone said the album is, quote, as close to art as pop music gets, which I think is such a good quote. Like, if I release an album and somebody said that, I'd be like, oh, you can't tell me anything. My album is as close to art as pop music gets. And that it is, quote, proof not only that Madonna should be taken seriously as an artist, but that hers is one of the most compelling voices of the 80s. And it has continued to garner critical acclaim in retrospective reviews. It is seen as the album that caused critics and the public to take her seriously, not only as a pop star and a celebrity, but as a true artist with a unique perspective and something to say. In 2017, Pitchfork gave it a 9.0 and said that it, quote, revealed just how grand, artistic, and personal a pop star could be at the very height of her fame. In 2019, Consequence of Sound said, quote, by mixing the sacred and the profane in a way sure to draw attention, Madonna went from being a regular old star to one of the most famous people on this planet, and that, quote, she stretched the boundaries of popular music and cemented her place as one of the greatest artists of our time. Lastly, it is still considered one of the greatest albums of both the 80s and of all time. It has been included in every iteration of Rolling Stone's greatest albums of all time list. And last year, in 2024, Apple Music ranked it as the 77th greatest album of all time, calling it, quote, the intimate work of a pop sensation emerging from tabloid hell, fully reborn. So that's the Church of Like a Prayer. That is what's going on here. Obviously, there's a lot to talk about. I mean, just thematically, the record is touching on so many different things, and every song is very loaded. So just the music, there's so much to talk about, and then the release of it and the impact it had on her career and all of that. There's just a lot to discuss. So I'm very eager to get started, and I'm excited to hear what both of you have to say. And so I think I'm going to start with Drew. I want to start with Mr. Drew. What do you think? We already know your takes on the Queen Honey, but what do you think about
Yes.
her scripture?
First of all, I absolutely loved your dissertation.
Thank
Excellent
you.
job as always.
Thank you.
The Madonna historian.
Yes.
So I didn't know anything about this album at all. I knew Like a Prayer and Express Yourself just because they were in the Glee Power of Madonna episode. Really enjoyed both of those songs. So I was interested to see how it would be with Madonna's voice on them. Um, and yeah, I mean, I really liked uh Express Yourself like a lot. Like obviously the original is clearly like so much better than um the Glee cast version. Uh but yeah, I tried to listen to it like so much because I knew that it was going to be like a very dense thing to take in. And I still feel like I've listened to it probably like 10 or 12 times. And I think I've gotten to a place where I'm like, I'm trying to digest this, but like I can't digest anymore without taking like time away from it and coming back to it. Um, but yeah, I liked this a lot more than I liked Ray of Light, actually. Um, I
Oh,
just thought like the concept, oh, I thought like the concept of it, I thought was really cool. And I just really ate up the production. I loved like the background vocals that she used. Like I haven't really seen that in a lot of pop music. Like the kind of like funky like gospel kind of
it,
background vocals of
it's
it.
really funky. It
Um,
gets very funky in this album.
for an album called Like a Prayer, like that is so freaking like that's very slay of her to do. Um, but yeah, I mean, and I love like obviously like her lyrical content's always so good, but this one, like, would you say that this is like as personal as Ray of Light or no?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
Because I got that as well. Like, I was like, oh, this is like really emotional. Of
I think in like a different way.
kind of,
Like I think that like
yeah,
I think they're about different things, and I think that
yeah,
Ray of Light's maybe more like philosophical.
yeah.
This is like so
I would agree with
concrete.
that.
Like this is like this thing happened and made me feel like this.
Yeah, what I love so much too is that like she takes because something that I've noticed is like even now, like there are so many things like a lot of these song titles when you just read them are very like simple concepts. Like the idea of like express yourself and like a prayer and cherish. Those are all things that you'd like see on like dumb Pinterest boards or like quotes, and those are words that you see all the time. But like when you listen to it, like Madonna and her take on it through like this kind of weird, funky lens, it like really it was so cool because like Love Song, for example, I was just like expecting something a little bit. I mean, also because it's like 80s pop, so you're like, okay, like not to like harp on like the quality of lyrics in the 80s, but I was like, okay, like let's see how basic this can be or whatever. And it is like the furthest thing from basic. Like all of these songs are so complex and um so yeah. I do have the same kind of issue with some of the voice like the vocal techniques of it
I
and
thought you
like
would.
her voice kind of irking me um toward the end specifically. Um but I mean, yeah, that was just my only kind of issue with the album that I think um and you know, like from what we've talked about, it's really what I look for in an album is like the vocals and the quality. That's what can send it over the top for me. So it was kind of a little bit like, okay, like we're gonna find the good that is from like find the good in something that I don't necessarily like know that I'm going to gravitate to. But a lot of these songs I would listen to again. I thought were really good. I'll get into it into my like top three and me, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just every time I listen to a Madonna album, I'm like, oh my God, she literally is just like the blueprint for everything. Like like there's no one who could like be controversial in the media without something like this happening.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and like now it's weird because you see like I can't think of an example, but you see so many pop girls try to do something controversial to get the kind of, you know, fame. You know, there's so many people who try to be trying to think of an example that would work, but I don't know. There are people who
Like,
try to take stabs at specific things that would make them more controversial to gain more fame. And I think that honestly, that is coming from what happened with this, where I don't think she was necessarily trying to be controversial from what I'm hearing about it. She just wanted to do it justice to what she was trying to create. Um, so yeah, I thought that's something that I thought a lot about, especially hearing Levi talk about it.
No, I love that. And I
Maria,
think
were you
that's
gonna
actually
say
really,
something?
oh, sorry.
Oh, well, I was just gonna say, like, I feel like the last like major, I mean, and obviously like you like both of you, like if you have another example or maybe you think I'm wrong, but I feel like the last like major controversial moment if with like within pop music was like, oh my gosh, Judas music video released on Easter.
Oh yeah,
Like that's what this is giving me, and very much like Drew said, like that doesn't happen, I feel like, without this like Madonna and this happening,
yeah,
like it's very much the foundation for so much of what informs pop culture today. So I like that you
Well,
brought
and
that
yeah,
up.
and
So
it's the reason why like in the video for Montero, Lil Nas X can be
yeah,
like twerking on the devil.
right.
Like
That's
it's
also
why
super
you can
yeah,
like
powerful.
mix that like kind of imagery. And something I wanted to say to Drew's point is because I completely agree. And I think the reason why this like stand the test of time is because it's not just provocation for provocation's sake. Like
Yeah.
there's everything underneath it is like very sturdy and like the music is very
yeah,
good. Because if it was all the same imagery and the video was the same, but the song Like a Prayer was shit, it wouldn't have had the
right,
impact that it did. But because that song is what it is and the album is what it is, like that's why we're still talking about it in 2025. And I think that
right,
is something that sets her apart and like Judas, Lady Gaga. I mean, imagine if she had done that and the song Judas was horrible.
Right.
Like, that
right,
that's I think a big part of it is like can become so powerful when it's accompanied by art that's astounding and really, really wonderful.
Yeah.
yeah,
Thank you, Drew. You said so many good
yeah.
things.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, Maria, spoon it up.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So, first off, I would like to point out that I found something. I think I found a Madonna Easter egg within in the music and the lyrics. I heard it in Love Song. She says, time goes by so slowly for
For
those who wait.
yes.
To those who run seem to have all the fun. And then she also samples herself and says it again and hung up years later.
Yep.
Wow.
Time
Hmm.
goes. And she kind of, the melody's kind of similar.
Yeah. It is kind of similar. But I was listening to it
That
because,
now
like, yeah,
that
like,
album, I don't have no qualms about the vocals on that. So y'all can't give me shit.
We'll
for real.
confess on a dance floor soon.
We'll get there when we
Yeah.
get there. But yeah, I was just like, oh my gosh. Because, yeah, like Drew said, I listened to it multiple times. And then it actually took me a second to pick that out and figure it out. But I was like, that's so cool. So yeah, I listened to this quite a bit. Um, I, I'm just trying to like, because now that it's been, a week of me listening to it a whole bunch, I'm just trying to think back to like my first like perception of it before even hitting play. Because honestly, I haven't before this, I think, ever intentionally chosen to listen to Like a Prayer on its own. Like I'd always just heard it like out and about, just existing, being alive. So I actually didn't know that Like a Prayer has that little kind of funky intro before the song actually starts with the choir. So, with that, when I reached the end of the album and then heard Act of Contrition and it's the um, reversed audio loop of like prayer, I thought that the album was going to like blend back into itself at the very top. But then I was like, maybe I'm getting my hopes up because then I thought it was going to, and then obviously it didn't. But I thought it was going to be a loop back up to the first song because I was like, wait, these sounded kind of similar, and then it wasn't the same.
Well, no, because
So,
she has a reservation.
because she has a reservation, right? Which also heart attack when the album ended because I was not expecting her to shout at all. But literally with the
I think that is
Catholicism,
so funny.
That
yeah,
was crazy.
She
like
has a
the
reservation to get into heaven, and she's screaming at somebody like who's ever the front desk worker at heaven.
yeah, because of her reservation. And I just thought that was so funny too, how like the prayer that she's saying in it kind of just devolves into her like being like, I have a reservation for heaven, let me in. It's not in the computer. So it's like, oh my gosh, I thought that was so cool. But yeah, I mean, just like kind of going back to where my mind was probably at like before I started this, I feel like most people our age would probably just write this off as just like the like early to mid 80s like bubblegum pop Madonna, where it's all just very like lighthearted and just kind of senseless, whatever, fun, flirty, whatever. I mean, like, and I suppose if you have like a general knowledge of pop culture or music, I feel like there's like a broad understanding of like at a point in Madonna's discography, everything starts to get like very serious and very conceptual. Um, and I feel like most people our age, again, would probably just write this off. So I didn't really have that understanding going into this that this was like a very, very like heavy album saturated with a lot of very, very meaningful lyrics and a lot of backstory about Madonna and all of these different things about her. Like I really genuinely did not know that coming into it. So yeah, just had like a really interesting experience, just like listening to it over and over again and like picking up on more lyrics here and there and just like actually kind of understanding what was going on. And something with like the actual sound of it that I thought was really interesting. There's kind of like a subgenre of like new wave indie rock from like the 80s that a lot of it's from like Scotland and the UK and all of this that's kind of classified as like a like jangle rock. And I feel like this, at least in my brain, makes so much sense to call pop music like this like jangle pop. Like it's so funky. It just has that just kind of like air to it of like, yeah, it's just like kind of got a little jangle, like a little funk to it, especially with like the Prince feature on it and everything, which I thought was super cool. And yeah, like kind of tying it back to the vocals too, I thought it was really intriguing, like her vocal quality, because we've also talked on the podcast before about all of the vocal training that she did, and then going into Ray of Light, she kind of has this different tonality and different way of singing. So I thought that a lot of the songs on this album and the topics of them, I think lended themselves really well to the way that she sang them. Because again, like what Levi said, a lot of them are like her speaking to a child or a younger version of herself. And I feel like the kind of like spontaneous, like kind of throaty vocals that she has on this album lend itself nicely to those kind of messages or just like understanding like where Madonna was at that time. So for that, I thought it was really, really interesting and really fun to listen to. Um, and we were talking before, and I just had a really hard time like ranking the songs on this. But I feel like this is an album where like every single ballad I'm like fully on board with because I'm not really a
Really?
ballads person. Yeah. So I had a really, really hard time like picking out what
The
was gonna be
ballads are
my
fire.
my least favorite, but all of the ballads are so good. They're so good. And I really liked all of them.
Well, and I think something that helps with that, I was thinking about this today. I think the album is sequenced so well because I think that like anytime you want like an up-tempo number, you get it. And then every single time like you've had like a few like bops in a row, you get a like a ballad. I just think that like the tempo and the pace of it is so well executed. Because I think sometimes you can have really good individual songs, like an individual ballad that's really great, but if you have like maybe four of them in a row, it's gonna
Yeah.
it's gonna lose its power. And I don't think this album does it at all. I mean, it's 11 songs, and I think every song is exactly where it needs to be. I wouldn't change anything on how it's
Yeah.
sequenced.
With that, I feel like my only major thing I have to say to that is like I mean I had obviously heard Express Yourself before listening to this album. I think it was the only other song on this I had heard other than like a prayer. But understanding the context of everything and also the sonic quality of all of the other songs, I feel like having heard it multiple times, Express Yourself feels really out of place, like
Oh,
on the
really?
project itself. Yeah, that's the vibe I get. Like I just feel like everything is at this like major level of like deep, like saturated in context and also a lot of these like heavy themes of Catholicism and all of this. And I feel like Express Yourself had like none of that. Like it just didn't really feel like part of the group of songs. I don't know.
No, I get that. To me, I think the way that like it's related is like, and I think maybe this is where like context would come into play because it was a huge tabloid controversy, her the dissolution of her marriage and her divorce and all the stuff with Sean Penn. And so for me, like, you get like Till Death Do Us Part, which is so explicitly about the divorce, but I feel like Express Yourself is a song about a woman singing to other women about like standing up for yourself in relationships
Yeah.
and like not accepting shit from your partner, which to me, like I understand why that message would have resonated with her at the time as she just went through this really horrible situation with domestic violence and emotional and physical abuse. And so it's not like that's not like an explicit connection, but that's just how it makes sense. Like to me, that's where
Yeah.
Express Yourself
Yeah.
fits in.
Totally. Yeah, I definitely understand
But I think that's
that
fair.
kind of, yeah.
I think that's fair, completely fair. And sonically too, because do you really I think we get horns a little bit in Dear Jesse, but not in the same way that we get horns in Express Yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I guess it
It kind
feels,
of,
yeah.
I was gonna say it kind of only works as like the second track before you get into everything else. Like you get like a
Yeah.
prayer, you hear express yourself, and then you get into like really everything else.
Yeah, it would not work
Um,
anywhere. Like imagine that coming after Oh
no,
Father.
Oh
yeah, like
God.
it wouldn't have worked, but I
Yeah.
know what you mean though. I don't know. I guess I didn't think that in listening to it because I already knew what it was. Um,
Right.
I already knew the song, but yeah,
Yeah,
that
like
makes sense.
I'm so used to it. So I guess maybe if I wasn't so used to it, I would maybe
Yeah,
approach it
I
differently.
completely know what you're saying though. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're completely valid. That completely makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, that's really all of my kind of takes though, but I loved listening to it. I just love that like I have heard this. Like it just feels like such a rich historical document as far as like pop culture goes. So I'm so glad to like have it under my belt. I also love the album
Yeah.
cover and I
I
love
love
now
the album
knowing
cover.
that it came with patchouli. That's so cool. I didn't know that.
This is my second favorite album cover of hers after Ray of Light.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah, I love it. I have two those two I have on vinyl. And then of course I
I
have True Blue signed by the Queen
Well,
Honey
yeah.
herself.
signed by the Queen
Signed by the
Honey.
Queen Honey herself. Um,
Hmm.
thank you guys.
I
I
don't know
think you
what my
guys
favorite
both.
of hers is. Sorry, I'm just looking through all
No,
of her album covers.
I want to know. The people want to know. Maria,
I
what's
love the
yours?
True Blue one. The True Blue
The
one
True
is
Blue
so
one's
good.
amazing.
Gosh, I don't know.
I also love the Rebel Heart one.
You do love the Rebel Heart one. You've talked about that before.
Yeah, I think that's a really like I love the font of it, and I love like I just think it's an iconic cover. Those would probably be my two faves. I also kind of like the MDNA one.
Oh,
Do you not like it?
well, no, that's just her worst album.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know the lore. Wait, that one
Um,
has Girl Gone Wild on it. You don't like that one?
I mean, Girls Gone Wild is like that's like a Girl Gone Wild is like a fun song, but just as a whole, the album I would say is weaker. I think that album
Okay.
gets into trouble because Madonna's her best when she's not chasing trends, when she's setting trends, and that album
right,
to me feels
Okay.
very
right.
There you go.
trend chasey.
Well, I really like her first self-titled album cover a whole lot. Um, I do like the erotica one a lot. I love the erotica font.
The erotica font's so good.
So good. So big fan of that. Um, but yeah, there's like I mean, I feel like I'm a really big fan of all of them up until like I mean,
Confessions on a
American
Dance
Life is
Floor.
so iconic.
I love
American Life,
American Life.
it's so
Confessions on a
good.
Dance Floor to me is the first chop, and
I agree with you there.
it's so sad because that album is so good and the photo shoot is so good, and then they just did the stupidest thing for the cover. I don't understand it at all.
I honestly think all of them, like Confessions, onward, all of the rest of them are chops.
You don't
Yeah,
like Rebel Heart?
No, I don't.
Wait, really? That's crazy. You do you
I
not like it
love
either?
me.
Yeah.
No, I like it. I don't think it's like upper echelon. I would say it's
Oh,
post Confessions. I would say it's second. I love specifically the deluxe Madam X, not the
yeah, Madam X is
Yeah.
good.
not the standard where it's like Frida Kahlo like cosplay and she has like the text is making a unibrow. I don't like that. That looks bad. But I
Mm.
love the like Joan of Arc inspired like painting of her. And then like her facial expression I think is very striking. But yeah, the hard candy one is
Girl,
That was
a
bad.
mess.
the hard candy one is one of the worst images I've ever seen. It is, and that font, you are Madonna and your font is that? Are you serious?
Girl, you can't
Is
be talking this bad about the Queen, honey. What if she listens to this?
I
we
think the
have to
Queen
be a
Hun
little bit unbiased.
I think the Queen Honey loves truth. The
Yeah,
Queen
that's
Honey
true.
hates
That's true.
fakeness. She hates fake people.
Yeah.
She hates kiss asses and
Well,
she
and we
hates
also
fake
reference
people.
her as the Queen, honey.
The
Well,
Queen
yeah,
Honey.
she literally is my Queen Honey.
The Queen Honey.
Yeah.
Okay, next we
So
have to
like,
come prepared with what our favorite single covers are.
Okay,
so
Because
mine's
that
easy. Mine's sorry.
really?
Yeah, that have you not seen it?
I'm looking at it right now.
I'm looking it up too. I don't
Girl,
remember
Levi
off the top of my
Levi
head.
sent that to me.
It's so good.
Oh yeah,
Well,
it's
I guess
so good.
I'll
Yeah,
just say
that
my favorite is Nothing Really Matters.
Levi goes, yeah, that.
you loved Nothing Really Matters
Wait, what?
one.
It's so
Oh,
the
Of her
Nothing
like
Really
sorry.
lay
Matters.
that's like her laying on the concrete, right?
Yes, 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 yes.
The Ray of Light one is
So
good.
good.
Oh my God, Drew just gave Ray of Light praise. Somebody record that. That will never happen again.
Clip it,
Girl,
clip it, clip
I
it.
Clip
text you
it.
guys Shanti all the time.
I know you do.
Shanti
As a joke.
Oh,
as
I mean,
you didn't
satire.
say JK though.
the album already caught a stray in the episode, so I have to get the praise in. We have to offset.
Right. Get it in, girl.
Balance has been achieved.
Yeah, the respect balance, the substance.
Respect the balance.
Okay, are we ready for my thoughts?
Yes.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm gonna take y'all back to church. Yeah, I love this album. This album has always been one of my fave Madonna records. So I actually discovered it. Oh my God, excuse me. I'm Jesus Christ, burping into the mic. Uh, I discovered this record around the same time as Ray of Light. So this would have been like fifth grade, sixth grade. I'm at like 11, 12. And this is an album that I've loved for a really long time. This has always been Bible to me. I mean, it's always been Ray of Light than this in my Madonna ranking. I would, I go back and forth now between like what my second and third one is. Like a Prayer in American Life, really battle it out for the title of second and third. Right now, I think maybe just because we've been in such a like a prayer mode, I would say it's like a prayer. And I think part of that is because this is an album that resonates so much with me. And I think so much of that is because I can relate to a lot of the themes. I think this is the best piece of art I've ever encountered about being Catholic. That quote that I read about that she talked about Catholicism and how uh, you're a born sinner and you're a sinner all your life and the sin is within you all the time. Like, I think that is such a succinct and accurate way to describe, like, there's this cultural joke or whatever of Catholic guilt. But I really do think that there's something like psychologically that happens to you when that is what you're grown up in. Like you are grown up being told you're a sinner, confess, absolve yourself. And once you confess your sins, you're going to screw up again, and then you need to confess again. And like you will always be a sinner, you will always be doing bad things. Like that does something to you psychologically. And I think that this album captures that. I think it absolutely captures what that feels like. Like I get chills every time I listen to "Oh Father," and it's the end of the second verse going into the chorus when she goes, "Oh Father, I have sinned," because then you realize, oh, she's not just talking about her dad; she's also talking about God, because that tension is present in every relationship you have. I can be singing about the emotional neglect I felt from my father, But then also at the back of my mind, I'm thinking about all the ways that I've disappointed the Holy Father, God. I just think I find that so profound, and it kind of captures so much of my relationship with my faith. I mean, I love so much about Catholicism, and I love that I was raised Catholic, but there's so much about the church that is also horrible, and it's just a very complicated feeling, and I think this album captures it perfectly. Yeah, so I think this record is pretty astounding. I mean, that Rolling Stone quote, as close to art as pop music gets, I would back that pretty much 100%. I find this album to be such an astonishing accomplishment on a production level. Like what Drew said, the production here is great. And it does not sound, to me, I don't think it sounds dated at all. I don't think like, maybe like a few things, a few synths would be maybe a bit more modern if this was released today. But sometimes you listen to 80s pop music and like it sounds dated or 80s in a way that like this probably hit so hard at the time, but this just doesn't translate. And this doesn't. I mean, you can tell how forward thinking this record is. Like kind of what both of you were saying. This is not the kind of album that you would expect from a pop star like Madonna in the 1980s. You would not expect such a funk influenced album. There's so much acoustic instruments on this album. There's orchestral moments. A lot of the song structures on this album are very interesting and not just a standard verse pre chorus bridge chorus. Like I think the structure to Like a Prayer is incredible. That's an example I want to use. You start with the refrain, then you go into the chorus, verse, chorus, and then you never hear the chorus again. And there's still like 2 minutes left of the song, and you never hear the chorus again. And then you hear this refrain, breakdown, choir break, and then refrain breakdown. And that's so interesting. Like it's just like you kind of never know where you're about to go with a song because normally you think of the chorus as a home base, and the chorus is a home base for a little bit, but it's also not, and then you never get to it again. So I just think that's very interesting because also the song changes quite a bit. So just think musically, it's incredibly accomplished, and I think the songwriting here is just some of her best songwriting. There are so many lyrical moments that I absolutely adore. I think the promise to try lyrics or ones that come to my mind. I find them so moving. And towards the end of the song, when she says that her mom's oh God, I don't want to mess it up, so I need to look it up right now. Promise to try Madonna. Duh, who else would I be promising to try with? Don't let memory play games with your mind. She's a faded smile frozen in time. That gags me every single time. I always go, it's
Oh,
that's
Oh,
heartbreaking. I think the imagery on Dear Jessie is so beautiful and lovely. I've always had a very soft spot for that song. I think a song like Keep It Together to me is so impressive because musically it is such this funky, fun dance song, but it's about like generational trauma and like growing up in like a emotionally neglectful household. I mean, it's just like the fact that she can marry these two, that's so much of what the appeal of this album to me is that she's able this isn't just serious art, it's also pop music. But it's not just pop music, it's also serious art. This album is both of these things. And there's this synergy that she's able to find between these two that is so interesting that she's able to make a song like Keep It Together work or a song like a prayer work where like a prayer is a weird song too because it's partly about like a girl being in love with God but it's also kind of about sex but then it's also kind of about just like life. I mean it's there's these things that are so weird but she's able to keep the weirdness and the complexity of these topics and the density of them, but also make them palatable and make them melodic and work as pop songs and catchy. And I find that insanely impressive. I think that is so hard. It's hard to make a good pop song, regardless of what the subject matter is. But to make songs like these that are about these topics, I just find that to be insanely impressive. And touching on the vocals, that Drew I knew that Drew was gonna maybe not be in love with all of them. Something that I find about this, I would say from her pre Ray of Light album albums, her first six, I think that this is my favorite vocally, and I think it's because kind of what Maria was talking about. There's so much emotion she sells the story of these songs so well. Like in both in Promise to Try and in No Father, she sounds like she's about to cry, but in different ways. Like it Promise to Try to me sounds like very sad tears and like she's on the verge of just like shedding them. And then Oh Father feels like angry tears. Like like when you're like really upset and like your like voice kind of like pushes out and it becomes like almost like throaty. Like that's what that sounds like to me. But then her voice sounds very young and youthful on songs like Dear Jessie or Cherish. But then on Express Yourself, it's very confident and there's a swagger to the way that she sings. I just think that she is able to know exactly what a song needs vocally because she knows that she's not a vocalist. She knows that she's not a Whitney Houston who can lay down an incredible vocal performance and these beautiful, insane riffs without even trying. She knows that she's not that. What she does know is she knows how to sell a song and she knows how to make a song work. She knows how to communicate so effectively. I mean, we can tell that from her visuals, from her lyrics, her songwriting, but she does that with her voice, I think, as well. And the older that I get, the more aware of it I am. I mean, the more like, because when I was younger, I think I always used to think, oh, like I always wish what I could hear like Madonna today sing like a Prayer, like that album. Like I wish that I could hear it in her current voice. I mean, I almost wanted her to do like a Prayer Madonna's version, like something like that. But as I've gotten older, and I think I've just been able to have a more nuanced take on like vocals and all that stuff. I just find her vocal performance incredible. There's just so much emotion in it, and I just find it so moving, and it adds so much to what are already a great collection of songs. Yeah, I don't know if I can really say anything else without being repetitive. I just this is a very special album to me. This album makes me think about a lot of different times in my life. It is, I just think, like what Maria said, it's a historical document. It's something that makes me think about my childhood, about my adolescence, about my relationship with God and the religion and family and I mean everything. I just think it's a really beautiful childhood. I mean, I think so much of this album is about like what it feels like to not be a kid but have been a kid and to like look back on that and be like, "Huh, maybe that's what it wasn't what it was supposed to be." Which again, and she's able to make those pop songs. Like that's so impressive to me. I think
That's
that's
like a
crazy.
repetitive theme, I feel, in like songs that all of us really gravitate towards on the pod that we've talked about, are like
Yeah.
songs that explore not like just the concept of childhood, but like very nuanced experiences and feelings of what it was like to actually have been a child.
I mean, that's the
Oh,
thing though. It's
Yeah,
like that's the ultimate, the most universal theme. Everyone's grown up,
yeah. Yeah.
you know.
yeah. And I mean, even my connection, like being in love with the Glee cast version of Like a Prayer, like that reminds me of being a child too, you know?
There you go.
Yes.
Yeah. Which I didn't say, like that is the best Glee cast version song ever. And y'all can fight me. Don't Stop Believing, sit down.
I mean, when you call my name.
Yeah. Leah Michelle doing that refrain. Get out of here.
So, that's kind of all that I have to say. Unless anybody had any more thoughts before we get into Me's and Holy Trinity. Holy Trinity, which is already religion.
Whoa.
Right.
Let's, for this episode, let's call Me's cardinal sins.
AKA our least favorite songs on the album.
AKA our least favorite songs. Yes, for
Right.
since Pop Girlies is a global sensation now, let's remind everybody what Me's and Holy Trinities are. So, a Me is our least favorite song on the album in honor of the atrocity to humanity, Me by Taylor Swift from Lover. And then Holy Trinities are our three favorite songs on the album.
Right.
But just let's keep in theme. So,
Okay.
we're going to do our sins first, and then we'll do our Holy Trinities. So, we'll go in the same order. Drew, what is your
Okay.
sin or your Me?
My sin or me,
This is confession
um,
right now, girl.
yeah, is Spanish Eyes.
And is it because of the vocals?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
I
knew
saw that
that that's what
coming.
The
I knew
vocals.
that.
Oh. Oh. Oh.
Oh my
So
God,
girl.
Whacker.
I know. I have to skip that one. But
I totally understand that, but in my like at least in my listening experience, I listen to the first half and I'm like, whew. And then I make it through the halfway point and I'm like, I understand conceptually why she's singing like this.
okay,
You know what I
I'm gonna
mean?
give it more. Yeah, I mean, I'm probably not gonna listen to it again, but I should give it more grace and
Oh, but like
yeah.
that's so
But
valid
that
though.
one's mine.
That's so valid.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Okay.
I might sound like a stan, but I love how her voice sounds strained because I think it adds to the song. Like the way that like younger Taylor songs, like you like how sometimes like how her voice wasn't very mature can add to the song. That's kind of how I feel about Spanish Eyes. But
Okay.
I knew that you were gonna say that. I saw that coming from a mile away, girl.
Okay. Okay. I'm glad you guys knew my cardinal sin before I could even say it.
Before you confessed.
Yeah.
Okay, confess, Maria. What's your cardinal sin?
All right. So my cardinal sin. So this song is my least favorite because it has a sonic styling in it that is like one of my least favorite things in a song that will like automatically qualify it as something I just like really can't listen to. And it's when a song has a lot of just empty space in it. Like a lot of empty space. And for me, love song is that because it's like you get a couple riffs and then there's silence. And then someone says something and then there's silence. And I just really have a hard time listening to songs where there's all of these kind of repetitious breaks in the song. And for me, I just have a hard time really getting through it. And it really pains me because it's obviously the Prince song. And like, I mean, the presence of Prince on the album is very cool, but that's going to be my least favorite song for that reason, locking it in.
I'm gonna so
Okay.
I'm confessing and I'm confessing that my cardinal sin is also love song. It's always been and it's always been that. It's always been love
Yeah.
song. Uh
I feel kind of like big brained for having the same least favorite song as you.
it is it's not for that reason that Maria said like the kind of emptiness of it sonically, which I mean I see what you're talking about, but for me it's like I appreciate that song a lot, and I've appreciated it more as I get older. And I listen to it, and I understand its place in the album, and I think it deserves to be there. It's a very strange song, and I get a little lost in it. I'm not always on the ride every time I listen to it, and yeah, it's and I think you can hear that they wrote it the way that they wrote it. I think you can hear that they weren't in the same room together making a song, that they were just like adding a little thing here and there and then sending it back to each other. It has that kind of hectic quality for better or worse, in my opinion.
Feels a little choppy.
A little choppy, chop ho. Okay,
All right.
so we've confessed our sins. Now let's
Okay.
praise the Holy Trinities. So, Drew, what's your Holy Trinity?
Okay. So my number three is Love Stock.
I okay. I also knew that that was going to be in your top three because I knew I was like Drew always likes her weirdest stuff. So whatever the weirdest song is,
I
he's gonna
love
like
when
it, and
she,
it's love song.
well, and it's the first song that like really puts you into like the funky kind of production of it, and it's like the Prince song, and I don't know, I ate it up. Um, yeah, I famously love when she does weird stuff, so yeah, that's kind of where I landed there. My number two is Express Yourself.
Yes.
Don't go for second
Yeah,
best.
yeah, and I
Don't.
think
Don't do it.
I mean, don't
Don't
do it.
do it.
I think I was pleasantly surprised with how much I mean, thank you, Ryan Murphy, but the Glee Cast version of this kind of flops. Let's flop Ola to the Madonna version of this song. Madonna eats this shit up. Um, so yeah, love Express Yourself. And then my number one is Cherish. Love
Love.
Cherish.
Yeah, you said when you were listening to it, you texted us that you got emotional
It made
listening to
me
it.
emo. Yeah, that song's so pretty. Um,
It really is.
Yeah.
While we're on the topic of Cherish, that's the first Madonna song I ever heard.
Oh, no way.
And so what it was is when I was okay, this would have been 2000. I just turned 6, but it was in 2005. My cousin Chris got married to his wife Jen, and great wedding from what I remember. I was 6 though. But they gave all their guests a CD, like a CD for their wedding, and they like burned CDs and like had all it's like a song, all songs that like were important to them on it, and they were all like love songs. And my mom, hi mom, I know you're listening, played that all the time on road trips. And it's great. It was like a very good, it was a really, really good collection of songs. And Cherish was on it. And my gay ass always loved Cherish. And I always wanted her to play the Romeo and Juliet song. I was always like, let's go, Romeo and Juliet. They never felt this way. But no, they never did. I
Oh
always
my
wanted her to play
gosh.
Cherish. Yeah, Cherish is the first Madonna
Yeah.
song I ever have a memory of listening to. And I remember years
Wow.
later when I listened to this album for the first time being like, oh my God, this is that song. This is that song that we would listen to on road trips.
That's so lovely.
Yeah, so I love
Love
that that's
that.
your number one, Drew. I love Cherish.
I love Cherish. Was that shocking? I don't know. Did it seem like something I wouldn't like or
No, no.
no?
Girl, you
Okay,
said you
okay.
cried to it.
I was just tearing up on the plane. I didn't full out sob,
Oh,
but
okay. Sorry.
You cried from how much you didn't like it, so I thought it was gonna be me.
Yeah, you got emotional
and then
because you just were so mad you weren't listening to Katy Perry.
hmm
Well, so are we ready for my Holy Trinity?
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. So my number three is gonna be Till Death Do Us Part.
Mm.
that almost made mine.
I really, really enjoyed like the spoken word kind of like back and forth kind of feel of it. And yeah, I just thought that was a really cool, like obviously one of the more like faster paced songs on the album, but I just thought it was super cool. My number two is Oh Father. And like I was kind of saving a lot of my thoughts for like speaking of because I obviously it's in my top three, but this is a song that it's one of the rare songs that literally gives me a physical reaction every single time I've heard it because it has those very like those swoop like it's got that the droop that going into the chorus and it literally makes my stomach do a flip every time I hear it. And I feel like you get this kind of like almost like a bystander effect feeling of like, oh my gosh, I'm
Mm.
hearing about all of these horrible things that have happened to like the person that's singing this song or speaking of all of these hard times and you just feel so bad. And it gives you like, or at least it's like kind of my perspective on it. It's just like, oh gosh, like that's that's just so much that's so heavy and I feel like the sonics of the song actually make you feel like give you a physical
Mm.
reaction of like oh no like I feel so much for this person and maybe it's not even that like you're because also the song is like oh father talking to her dad or talking to God and it feels like something you shouldn't even be hearing like these words are not for my ears yet I'm still hearing it and it's giving me this reaction and that's what that kind of swoosh droop sound into the chorus like makes me feel like it literally makes my stomach do like a little drop like I don't know like I had such a profound reaction to it every single time that I've heard it that I just had to put it somewhere in my top three. Because I mean also the song's amazing, but I was just kind of like taken aback at how that song made me feel. So that's my dissection on that song. And then I mean it's basic, but my number one's like prayer. I mean, I just can't even imagine having been in like the like alive when this came out and like having heard the song. I feel like it was probably just so unprecedented and it's still so insanely iconic. And there's a bar that I go to where they do nights like they have a little dance floor and they have nights where all they do is play 80s music.
Holiday Club?
And yes, Holiday Club. And every time I'm there and like a prayer plays,
Holiday.
it is like insanity. Whoa, Drew just made a Madonna reference.
Shut up.
Shut
You
up.
know the only reason I know that song? It's because it's
Well,
in Cheaper by the Dozen too.
okay, I love Cheaper by the Dozen. So actually,
A- And the second one,
well, of course, I meant the franchise. I meant the franchise.
right? And the second, no, I mean like yeah, the second one too. Hell yeah.
Hmm. Well,
Hmm.
all of that to say, like every time that song comes on and I'm on a dance floor, it's just such a cool experience. And obviously, the music video is just so iconic and poignant. And it's just such an iconic song. And I'm not sure if outside of our conversations, if I ever would have had a moment where I like intentionally chose to listen to it. And I'm really glad that I have, because I've listened to it so many other times
Wait, yeah. So
since.
like the was I was gonna ask a question on that because the burning of the cross, was that the main thing that people were mad about, or was it like everything else?
I mean, everything. So it was that was a huge thing. It was the fact that a saint was depicted as a black man, even though
Oh yeah.
so many religious figures, most of the people in the Bible, pretty everyone in the Bible was a person of color.
So
Um,
racism.
Yeah.
yeah. So and then the fact that she depicted herself having sex with a saint.
Oh right. Okay.
And it's not like explicit, but they kiss and like there's this like scene of he like lays her down on this like
Yeah.
satin sheets and there's all these candles around and it's very and then also just the use of religious imagery, like not just
Yeah.
I mean the burning crosses obviously is very provocative, but like the use of the stigmata on herself, like that was considered
Yeah.
blasphemy.
So did any of the other individuals who were in the music video receive any sort of like consequence from the Catholic Church, or was it just Madonna?
I think just her. Yeah, I think just her.
I also want,
Do
this is so
people
random.
use, oh sorry.
Oh, no,
Keep
I
going,
was
keep
just gonna
going.
say something silly, but I was watching the video and I never noticed that like she basically when she says let the choir sing, she almost introduces the choir like their musical guest on SNL. Like it gestures to the choir exactly like she's like hosting
That
SNL.
is so funny. That's exactly, ladies and gentlemen, the choir.
The choir.
That
So
is
Ladies and
so
gentlemen,
funny.
let the choir sing. Do people I'm just so I don't know much about like burning the cross. Like why is that so horrible? Like why is
Well,
it something that's so like do
so
people not do that in imagery?
there's the connection with burning crosses as like a symbol of like the KKK.
Oh, right, right, right. Okay.
Because like that's what like they would like put like burning crosses on like the lawns of like black families or
Oh,
whatever.
got it.
But so she's kind of like using it as this. I mean, it's provocative for a lot of reasons because it ties into like
Right.
the commentary on race and like the like police racial biases and all of
Yeah,
that
yeah,
stuff. But then it's also connected to the religious themes of the video and the song. Yeah, so like that is like I think that's the most loaded image of
yeah. Well, because because you used it as your picture for the
I did.
Instagram, and I was like, I was like looking at it, I was like, oh my God, like, yeah, like I can't, like,
Well, and just
I'm
especially
just
like
wondering why so many people are so like upset about it, but now I understand
I
more.
mean,
Okay.
back, like, think about, I mean, that would be incredibly provocative imagery now. But think about that
Yeah,
being released in 1989. I mean, it's
yeah,
so shocking. Like, I could get a visceral reaction when I watch it, because it is like, it's just very, like, powerful in like
yeah,
every sense of that word. It just like grabs you, seeing
yeah,
her dancing and singing with such passion in front of this imagery that has such a horrible
yeah,
history. Yeah.
yeah,
So that's I would say.
yeah.
Um,
Cool. Thank you
okay.
for explaining.
Well, this is I think Pop Girlies history because I have the exact same top three as Maria, except Oh Father is my three and Till Death Do Us Part is our two. But we have the exact same me or sin, and we have pretty the exact same Trinity. We are so in
Oh,
sync on this album.
oh
Wow.
my gosh. That
And
is
Drew
so
has no
insane.
overlap with us in any way.
That's
Wow.
crazy. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, you were listening, and I was like, oh my God, like I think we're gonna go three for three.
That's
Because Oh
crazy.
Father was the one that I had the least amount of faith in, and then you did it.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, that
Yeah.
is just stunning.
Oh, Father.
Till Death Do Us Part, just to kind
Oh,
of real quick. I
Shanti.
mean, she oh
Sorry.
Clock it.
Shanti.
Oh,
Clock it.
Father, Father, Father.
Oh my God.
Drew, how can I bring Shanti into this?
That's you in every social situation. Uh, yeah, Till Death Do Us Part. Well, no, Oh Father's my three. Oh Father, I agree with everything Maria said. Maria fucking nailed that description. It is so visceral. And to me, that's a song where no moment is wasted. Like it's so epic sounding, but like the verse isn't long. You have that like instrumental introduction, but then once the verse starts, you're there for a second and then you're immediately in that chorus.
Hmm.
The intensity grabs you right away. I think what you said, it captures that feeling. It makes me feel like that I'm experiencing that. Just because I'm a lyrico, I want to just highlight some lyrics because some of my favorite lyrics are on this song. I think it's so striking to start a song with. It's funny that way you can get used to the tears and the pain. What a child will believe you never loved me. Like, oh, I love the way she screams out, "Oh Father, I have sinned." And the bridge, the "Oh Father, you never wanted to live that way. You never wanted to hurt me. Why am I running away?" And then one of my favorite lyrics on the album, one of my favorite Madonna lyrics ever, I find it so powerful, is maybe someday when I look back, I'll be able to say, you didn't mean to be cruel. Somebody hurt you too. There's just, that is loaded with just so many layers that like you would need therapy sessions to like unpack everything
Right.
that's in that. It just,
Yeah.
and she has a relationship with her father now. I am not yet to that place in the book, so I don't know like I don't know when all that stuff. She's just a very complicated relationship with him. Reading about her experience growing up and it's very sad. It's very, very sad. And you get a lot of that. You learn a lot of the context, I think, too, on Keep It Together. Like when she said, to get attention, I must always be the clown. Like that is true. She got no attention growing up and she was expected to kind of be a caretaker to her younger siblings. And so she acted out because that was the only way that her father would talk to her. He pretty much only talked to her when he was disciplining her. And their relationship was pretty much just built on him disciplining her and punishing her. But she's also attributed all of her discipline and work ethic to him. So it's very complicated.
Hmm.
Yeah, Until Death Do Us Part is just, I think it's one of my favorite melodies of hers. I love the production on it. Again, it's a song that I think captures the way that emotion feels. It's so striking. I love the imagery on it. And then Like a Prayer is just, it's
Yeah.
just like a prayer. I mean, to me, it's like the all too well of the album. It's just, it was, I had a hard time coming up with my two and three, but my one was like just immediate. It's just one of the great songs, and it never gets old in my mind. It never gets old.
Breakdown is also just so good.
It's incredible. Everything about it. I mean, the starting with the guitar riffs, and think about that's the way you open your album. You open your album with this crazy guitar riff, and then the church door slams,
Hmm.
and then life is a mystery. Everyone must stand alone. I hear you
Oh,
call my name, and it feels like home.
Home. That's also
can
so
wait.
interesting that she starts with life is a mystery because something that's said a lot in the Catholic Church is the mystery of faith.
The mystery of faith.
So let that sink in. Everybody let that sink in.
See, maybe if I were like raised a religious person, I would understand so much of this context. But I like literally, I was not, I'm like never been like a religious person. So I feel like maybe this would be like higher ranked for me if I like was.
I mean, Drew, I guess you just have to understand that life is a mystery.
Oh, I know. Wait, can I say something funny about like a prayer that you just brought up? So, is that okay?
Yeah, yeah,
Or
say
are we
it.
done with talking about it?
No, say it.
Um, So I watched the music video before because Levi told us how much it was prevalent to the conversation. And I was I having heard the her version, the original version, I love like the background kind of vocals that are in there. And there's one like there's a riff in kind of the like I don't know where in the song it comes, but it's more of like the instrumental and there's like a da 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 like a riff where it's like that it's
Is it a
they're
vocal
doing
riff
those
or it's an
notes.
instrumental
Yes,
riff?
it's a vocal riff.
It's a vocal riff.
It's like oh, and it sounds so good. And I was like, this is the best Madonna has ever sounded. Like this is the
It's
best. And then in the music video, someone else is doing it.
oh, the one
It's
time
like
you're
the
about to
woman
give
from the
Oh my
vocal
god,
choir.
damn.
praise.
Yes. I was like, this is the best Madonna has ever sounded. This is better than Shanti. No. And
Well,
I was laughing out loud because I was like, you've got to be joking. Like, but
can't
Someone
win
tell
them all.
Madonna that the bar for like vocal peak vocal performance is Shanti.
yeah, I think it is for me.
That's so crazy. Over the literal the title track Ray of Light is so cuckoo to me.
There might be something on Confessions that I like more. I don't know.
Peak vocals, American Life.
Oh, well,
Oh
that's the
wait,
real
no,
answer.
Hollywood. Hollywood is my peak vocal actually.
The way that y'all are not, the way you guys don't feel like you just got home. You don't know
Okay,
that life is a mystery.
what I'm doing over here is satire. I'm not being serious.
So maybe you know. I don't know. Drew doesn't know. Drew doesn't feel like home, like you just got home.
I don't think I want to know.
Oh,
See, the thing is, I traded fame for love without a second thought.
oh. Okay, well, there's just the greatest song of all time. Okay,
So I do get it.
we could go off on a tangent forever, but we got to
Yeah.
get some scores up in here. So, okay, Drew Fork, you were starting us off. What is your score?
Okay. Um, I'm gonna give it. I'm gonna give it an 8. 8.0.
Eight. Solid eight. Okay,
Yeah.
Maria.
So I know for a fact that there are Madonna albums that I have to put that like are just going, I'm just going to rank above this. So, but this is obviously iconic historical document, as we know. So I'm gonna put this at an 8.9.
Yeah, this is a 10 for me. Easy 10.
Easy 10.
Easy 10.
Shocked. India Ferris shocked.
India Fair, shocked. Okay. We are oh, you guys kind of hold your hand tanked. The average score is 8.9.
Oh no.
I tanked. I'm sorry.
That's okay. You know, it's your
Drew
truth. We
tanked.
gotta live in the truth.
Yep.
You know, because we must stand alone. Because life is a mystery after all.
Life's a mystery.
Right. Till death do us part.
Till death do us part. This glass. Well,
Yeah.
Yep.
thank you guys so much for
Ugh,
letting me take us to church. We're going in a very different direction next week. Um, we are continuing our Madonna double feature with her follow-up album. Uh, everything that you got used to on Like a Prayer. Uh, you could get rid of that
Push the
because
button.
we're
Change the channel.
literally. I mean,
Oh my
it's
God.
I can't tell you how different where we're about to go is. So we are going to be looking at her fifth studio album, 1992's Erotica. And if you thought this was controversial, honey, you got a big storm coming
Queen honey.
because we're about to get into intensity when it comes to controversy and provocation. But I mean, it's another one where this is a big hitter. This is a a monumental album in pop music history and changed a lot. And it's another album that there is a lot to talk about. So I'm sure you will get another dissertation. I haven't started writing it yet because I needed to write my scripture for Like a Prayer before I started writing
Right.
the erotica. And we'll see what happens. I don't think I'm gonna make the sections themed for erotica. I feel like that could go astray
Yeah.
very
It
easily.
could devolve really fast.
It could devolve fast. I don't think I'm gonna be doing that.
I hope you know every time you've said erotica on the podcast or like in real life, I've thought about how Ray of Light, she almost called it Veronica
Veronica
Electronica.
Electronica.
So I'm like, every time I try to think of a first name that would go with erotica, like Veronica Erotica or like something like that. And so every time you say erotica, I think, what name would she put for erotica?
Well, there
Monica
is one.
Erotica.
There is?
Well, yes, she has an alter ego on it.
There's an alter ego.
There is already a name?
Yep. And you'll learn it very fast.
You'll learn it's in the opening
Okay.
song. It's in the opening
Opening
track.
song.
Oh,
We're not gonna say it yet. You need to experience
okay.
it.
I'm so
Wait, so there
excited.
literally is a name.
Yeah,
Yes.
there's a name. She has an alter
Yep.
ego.
There's a
There's a
character.
character.
You guys don't know how much brain time I've wasted thinking of a name.
Oh, she took care of it for you, baby.
I don't think it's wasted
She
Oh,
time.
It's not wasted time. Thinking
No.
okay.
about the queen. Thinking about the queen, honey. Never
Time well
wasted.
spent.
Time well spent. I'm jealous. I wish I
Yeah.
could have your time.
Well, I'm
Okay.
literally so excited. Like knowing that we were doing the double feature, I listened to both because I wanted the like the timeline context of both of them coming out back to back. And OMG, I'm just so excited to talk about erotica. I'm so excited.
I'm excited for Drew to listen to it. I knew that Maria was going to be gagging for erotica.
I think I'm gonna gag.
I'm shocked that you gagged as much as you did, Maria, for Like a Prayer. I was kind of worried going into this that I was going to be the only Like a Prayer defender. And was shocked that Drew liked it more than Ray of Light, which actually shouldn't shock me considering he wants Ray of Light to get mauled by bears. But I think largely because it's very ballad heavy, I was not
I don't know about that.
expecting I wasn't expecting you to love it the way that you did. So this conversation has really meant a lot to me because I think you
Aw.
both
Oh,
liked it a lot more than I thought you guys were going to. But
yeah.
I knew you were going to be gagging for erotica. And I
Yeah.
think Drew, I think you'll be gagging as well. A little bit.
Okay. I'm ready to gag.
This is me gagging. That Oprah clip. Wait, you could probably do it better,
Oh,
Levi.
now we're gonna look. This is me gagging.
So good.
Okay, so
Okay.
I'm gonna go. It's the midnight hour, and I can feel your power. So, uh, I'm gonna go pray.
I'm gonna go express myself.
I'm gonna go light this candle.
Ooh, Drew doesn't know what that's from
Ooh.
because it's his least favorite song.
Oh yeah. I was thinking Rent, but
Oh my God, Jonathan Larson wanted Madonna's nachos.
he wanted it. He wanted Madonna's nachos.
Oh my God, he stole them.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Oh,
Bye.
Well, bye,
Ciao.
bye.
Steve.
Uh,